A wide array of cars may spring to mind when considering the ideal vehicle for a Hollywood celebrity. However, when considering the world's richest people, only one vehicle truly springs to mind: the Rolls-Royce. With over 130 dealerships spread over 40 countries, the brand is known all around the globe. But just how did this world-renowned car manufacturing brand begin? This is the story of how a poor boy started a car company that will one day be one of the most expensive cars in the world. To truly understand how this brand started, we must delve deep into the lives of the founders. Frederick Henry Royce. Henry, the youngest of 5 children, was born in 1863 in Alwalton, England. His parents, James and Mary, owned and operated a flour mill. However, James had not followed in his father's footsteps. He lacked commercial abilities, revenues were meager, and the Royce family struggled to survive for many years. Things worsened, and they had to declare bankruptcy in 1867. The family relocated to London in the hopes of making a better life for themselves. Henry, who was 4 years old at the time, already had his first job as a bird scarer on a nearby farm, earning a weekly wage of 6 pence. Then, in 1872, calamity struck once more. Henry's father died. All of the children, even Henry, had to pitch in to make ends meet. He started off by selling newspapers and delivering telegrams. Henry's early years of poverty had a great impact on him, and by the age of 15, he had only finished 1 year of school. He began his apprenticeship at the Great Northern Railway Works as a young adolescent. His aunt had granted him financial assistance, and despite not having a formal education, Henry took advantage of every chance to educate himself, learning algebra, French, and electrical engineering. Henry did a lot of other menial jobs in order to make more money, but his real ambition was to become an engineer. So, at the age of 22, he founded a company with his engineer friend Ernest Claremont. They called it F.H. Royce and Company, and over the next several years they worked around the clock to manufacture electrical components such as doorbells and dynamos. The firm continued to grow, and by 1894, they were now producing electric cranes, but Henry's interests began to go elsewhere: automobiles. However, Royce isn't the only name that played a part in the founding of this car manufacturing brand. It was a partnership with Charles Stuart Rolls. Charles Stuart Rolls. Charles Rolls was born in 1877 in London's aristocratic Berkeley Square, the youngest child of Lord and Lady Langattock. He studied mechanical engineering at Trinity College in Cambridge after developing an early interest in engineering. Charles knew how to make himself stand out. He received the nickname Dirty Rolls because of his penchant for tinkering with engines, and he was the first undergraduate to possess a motor car after traveling to Paris to purchase a Peugeot automobile at the age of 18. This was highly rare at the time, as most people had not even heard of automobiles. Charles began working on a steam yacht after graduating in 1898, and subsequently at the London and Northwestern Railway. However, he was more interested in driving, pioneering, and salesmanship, and in 1903, with financial assistance from his father, he launched one of the first car dealerships in the United Kingdom. Besides being an avid motorist, pioneer, and racer, Charles was also an eager aviator. How the Rolls-Royce brand started. Henry got more interested in automobiles while operating his firm, F.H. Royce and Company. In 1901, he wanted to upgrade a used 2-cylinder Decalville automobile he had purchased. But he wanted more, so he decided to create his own automobile. Henry had a natural passion for excellence. And, having discovered flaws in the Decalville car's construction, he promised to do something better. He devised and built his first petrol engine before the end of 1903, and the following year he drove his first Royce 10-horsepower motor vehicle into town. It had been 2 decades since Henry founded the company, and his first automobile was a success. So he went out to make another, and another, and another. He donated one of the 3 automobiles he had manufactured to one of his business partners, Ernest Claremont, and sold the other to one of their investors, Henry Edmunds. And it was this Henry Edmunds who would eventually arrange the meeting between Rolls and Royce. While Rolls had always favored 3- and 4-cylinder autos, Royce's 2-cylinder vehicle impressed him greatly. He knew he'd discovered what he was seeking within minutes of seeing it. He drove the automobile and immediately promised to sell as many as Royce could produce. The two men formed an odd pairing. There was not just a huge age difference, but also a class and academic divide. To begin with, Royce was 41 years old, whereas Rolls was only 26. The young Rolls had received a distinguished education at Trinity College, while Royce's abilities were mostly self-taught. Royce had also been working hard to make ends meet while Rolls had spent his early adult years racing about in his flashy vehicles. While Henry Royce and Charles Rolls were quite different persons, they made an excellent team, and their huge success with automobiles led to the formation of the Rolls-Royce Company in 1906. The introduction of the 6-cylinder Silver Ghost came the next year, and it didn't take long for it to be recognized as the best vehicle in the world. Claude Johnson, regarded as the hyphen in Rolls-Royce, was the new MD and spearheaded the marketing by coming up with slogans like, "Not one of the best, but the best car in the world." Johnson made the success of the 6-cylinder Silver Ghost possible as it was his marketing genius that spread the word about the car around the world. He orchestrated a series of stunts to promote the quietness and reliability of Rolls-Royce motor cars. Their worldwide attention spurred the company to develop more designs. In the 1930s, Rolls-Royce broke world records on land and sea. It also saw the arrival of the Rolls-Royce Phantom III, the first ever Rolls-Royce to be built with a V12 engine thanks to the arrival of automation in the industry. Another version of the Rolls-Royce collection that stunned the world was the Rolls-Royce Silver Dawn. Until 1959, each Silver Wraith had its own coach-built body, which made the Silver Wraith a large motor car. Therefore, a 4,887 cubic centimeters engine was fitted to compensate for the weight and offer the necessary power and performance. When Silver Dawn debuted, it was the first Rolls-Royce to be sold with a basic steel body. The Silver Dawn was substantially lighter than the Silver Wraith, and it was a first-of-its-kind Rolls-Royce design. The death of Charles Rolls. Both Henry and Charles were devoted to giving the greatest quality possible, but Henry in particular had a penchant for pushing himself to the limit at work. Henry was well known for being a hard worker who never ate properly. Unfortunately, these habits had a negative impact on his health. Surprisingly, he would outlive his business partner Charles by several decades. Charles's fascination with aviation grew over time. He even attempted to persuade Henry to create an aviation engine, but Henry declined. Charles purchased a Wright Flyer airplane and flew more than 200 times with it to fulfill his flying goals. In 1910, he became the first person to fly non-stop over the English Channel twice. But then everything changed only 1 month later. Charles was killed in an aviation disaster during a flying performance in Bournemouth. He was only 32 at the time. He was the first British person to die in an aircraft disaster, and his untimely death signaled the end of the Rolls-Royce partnership. Henry would now have to carry on their heritage. Henry had a natural work ethic, and his inventive ideas cemented Rolls' reputation Royce's for exceptional engineering and craftsmanship. He was unwavering in his commitment to creating the greatest design possible using only the finest materials and the highest standards of craftsmanship. The spirit of ecstasy. Although Henry Royce detested mascots, he gave in to pressure as long as it was appropriate for one of his automobiles. The firm hired Sykes to create a mascot that would embody every quality that the cars valued while also enhancing their overall appearance. He created a figurine of a young woman holding her flowing gown in the air with her arms spread. Eleanor Thornton, John Montague's secretary, served as the model for Sykes' creation, and after the design was chosen, she was permanently preserved. Originally known as the Spirit of Speed, she is now more appropriately referred to as the Spirit of Ecstasy. She is also sometimes nicknamed the Flying Lady or the Silver Lady. Henry Royce's death. During World War I, the company moved into producing something the late Charles had requested: aircraft engines. The manufacturing company decided to create a line of engines under the names of Raptors, such as the Eagle, Falcon, and Condor. It didn't take long for Rolls-Royce aircraft engines to acquire the same stellar reputation as their automobiles. The firm fared extremely well during the next few decades. Unfortunately, Henry's condition continued to deteriorate, and he died in 1993 from digestive system difficulties. His death was caused by his childhood malnutrition and a lifetime of overwork. He had spent the past several years of his life as a semi-invalid, but that didn't stop him from working. Henry's unfailing enthusiasm and passion for engineering won out, and he worked until the very end. His final sketch was literally created from his dying bed a few hours before he died. He was 70 years old. The Rolls-Royce Company today. Rolls-Royce is still a well-known name in engineering. A Rolls-Royce is one of the most successful luxury automobiles money can buy, and with over 130 showrooms in 40 countries, the brand is well recognized outside of the United Kingdom. Rolls-Royce is currently owned by BMW, and the company is still best recognized for creating some of the most luxurious automobiles. The automakers sold 5,586 vehicles worldwide in 2021. Since the company was established as Rolls-Royce Limited more than a century ago, in 1906, this is the greatest annual sales total ever recorded by the BMW-owned company. Each Rolls-Royce motor car is now built by hand at its state-of-the-art manufacturing facility and headquarters in Goodwood, England. The exquisite factory has continued to turn out outstanding cars every year. This year alone, the company has announced the release of the 2022 versions of the Rolls-Royce Phantom, Rolls-Royce Phantom EWB, Rolls-Royce Cullinan, Rolls-Royce Cullinan Black Badge, Rolls-Royce Ghost, Rolls-Royce Ghost EWB, Rolls-Royce Ghost Black Badge, Rolls-Royce Wraith, Rolls-Royce Wraith Black Badge, and Rolls-Royce Dawn. The Rolls-Royce Phantom is the pinnacle of Rolls-Royce. What makes the Rolls-Royce Phantom so revered is the attention to detail, which is absolutely sublime. The Rolls-Royce Cullinan is a combination of the 4x4 versatility of a Range Rover with the elegance and luxury of a limousine. The Rolls-Royce Ghost is a luxury sedan that might be compared to the Bentley Flying Spur. From the past to the present, the dream of two men has kept growing. The Rolls-Royce brand has become so well known within the automotive industry and beyond. The manufacturing car company founded by a poor boy, who was determined to be successful, and his intelligent partner is now considered to represent the pinnacle of extravagant luxury and indulgence.